Fayette Factor has now had 3 projects in a row. Some of you don't know who Fayette Factor is. We're part of the Georgia Family Connections Partnership. There's one of us in every county in the state of Georgia. And we're conveners of the human services organizations in that county. And that means DFACs, the school system, food pantries, faith-based, school counselors, domestic violence, substance abuse prevention work, etc. Anything that deals with the human well-being, and that's what Fayette Factor does. So we're not just in mental health or behavioral health, but we've been working specifically on that. Our community has said this is a really high priority, and it took us a while to figure out what our role could be in this. But 3 years ago, we started with a little faith summit of our own, and we only had 15 faith leaders there and just talked about faith and substance abuse and mental health. Then DBHTD, Department of Behavioral Health for the state, funded us to do a project working just with the Jewish and Muslim communities. And there was another counterpart that worked with Christian communities around the state. And we did that for a year. And then DBHTD expanded that project and gave it to us last year to work with Christian, Muslim, and Jewish communities to hold 6 mental health summits across the state. So that's where, so this map shows you that we were in Cherokee and Forsyth, which is where Seth joined us at that summit. We were at Johns Creek and Alpharetta. We were in Fayette and Coweta. We were in Augusta, Savannah, and Valdosta. Those were the 6 summits we held. And we had to do this. Oh, yeah. No, I mean, yeah, sure. We had to do that in 7 months. So it was a really incredible project. But with a lot of hard work by a lot of people, we had about 50 people put that project together, and our project manager, Damien, was there, who really pulled it all together. But we did it. And so here's what we did. Down? Oh, right there. So we identified the 6 sites. You know, we're not a statewide organization. So the first thing we did was find 3 faith leaders, a Christian faith leader, a Muslim faith leader, and a Jewish faith leader who could help us connect with their communities across the state. Those were the state liaisons from each faith. Carol Maddox with the Episcopal Church was the Christian leader specifically. And they, in turn, those 3 helped us identify 18 community liaisons. So a Christian, Jewish, and Muslim leader in each one of those 6 communities who were very well connected in those 6 communities. Then we identified those community liaisons who know their community, helped us identify mental health instructors, people who already had some mental health training or were willing to learn it. And what we did then is this project trained each of those instructors on mental health first aid, which you may or may not heard of. That's a 3-day national best practices training on mental health. And then also on QPR. QPR stands for Question, Persuade, and Refer. It's suicide prevention training. And that's a full day training. So we trained each of those 16 to 18 people on that. Then we revised, because we had two toolkits already built, the Muslim and the Jewish one. We built a Christian one and then enhanced all 3 to include mental health, behavioral health resources that were general, but focused on faith communities, and then also provided resources in those communities specifically that people can lean on. So And then we held 6 summits where a lot of people from the community were invited to hear about mental health first aid and QPR, and to hear about the struggles faith communities often have in talking about mental health and behavioral health, and what we can do about it together. And to invite the community, which largely meant lay leaders, to get some training in mental health first aid and QPR, which they could keep in their community and offer to their community members. So we hope there's some level between the 18 mental health instructors and the online toolkit, which you'll get a demo of today. We hope that there's some sustainability to this project. Even if we never got funded again, those trainers are still there in those 6 communities, and the online toolkit is still there. Again, those are the six communities. Those were the dates earlier this year. They happened between January and April of this year. We got some pictures in Fayette and Coweta was the first one we did, in Savannah, Alpharetta and Johns Creek, Cherokee and Forsyth. Seth in there? We didn't get Seth in the picture. In Augusta and Valdosta. We had a 1-page registration sheet, and the only thing I'm going to say about this, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but our goal, this is what we told people. Our goal, we had 4 of them, to increase access to relevant mental health services and resources. People often say, we just don't know where to go, and we want to help start answering that question. Secondly, is to reduce the stigma associated with mental health access and care. And we know problem A is the fact that people either don't recognize that they have an issue, or afraid or ashamed to talk about it, or when they do, get shame or something put back on them, so it doesn't go anywhere, and it might even turn negative. So we have to reduce that stigma. And by just talking about it, we know, people in this room know, you're already doing something about it. The third thing was to promote information on the intersection between mental health and faith for faith communities within each area. So people need access to what does schizophrenia look like? What does depression look like? How do I know if I have a drinking problem? Things like that. And then lastly is to build the capacity of each faith community to address mental health. So we hope we left behind an increased confidence level that each faith community had, and resources that they could steer toward their congregation. Not going to go through the agenda, but they were about 6 hours long. Each of these summits was about 6 hours long. A real good opportunity to have some real conversations. Successes, we had over 300 people participate in these 6 summits. 200 different organizations were represented. We built new relationships, statewide, regional, and local. So we know if we get funded for another project, or if someone else partners with us, we've already got a backbone set up. And Seth, you were mentioned earlier, the Georgia Faith and Recovery collaboration could conceivably move in a regional direction. And if so, we think we've got a skeleton. I hope so, that there's some kind of interaction there. We promoted the online. Yeah. Know it's already working and just expand it. Exactly. We promoted the online toolkit across faith communities in Georgia. We actually have 3 toolkits. So there's a Jewish toolkit, a Muslim toolkit, and a Christian toolkit. Over 91% of the trained instructors felt they were prepared to lead mental health first aid and QPR training. So the training of the trainers went really well, and they felt very empowered to take these tools to their community. Then of the attendees of these training, 95% strongly agreed that the mental health toolkit will be helpful in providing support to their faith community, and the content from the summit will help address the needs of their community. So some positive feedback for that. So just let you know where we are, that funding ended. And so we don't have that project active right now, other than having conversations like this, where we're sharing the word about that program, what's still possible, how we can still grow and have impact, maybe in partnership with some of you. Before we go to the toolkit, Dawn or Damien, do you want to add anything to that?
I think one thing that's important to know is at the summits, we actually was able to deliver the QPR training for the attendees. So they were able to sit down with the instructors who were trained and certified as instructors, and they got that experience for free, which was really important, I think, to start that conversation, because it is one of the hardest topics to talk about. And people were brave enough and courageous enough to show up and attend that type of conversation in that space. I thought was really, really powerful. Should I? I mean, I can stay from here because I'll do some computer stuff. So yeah, can I borrow the clicker? Yeah, thank you. So everyone, hey, can everybody still hear me? Thumbs up. Can you see thumbs up? Should I yell? No, okay. All right. So right here, if you look, there's a QR code as well as a HTTPS. If you can scan that QR code, it'll actually take you to a guidance document where we could look at the toolkit, or if scanning doesn't work, you type that into your browser in some way, shape, or form, and that'll also get you to this document that I'm going to bring up. I'm going to leave it up for a while. And then when everybody's, they think they got it or they got it, I'll click over. The people online can definitely type that in. So this will bring up a document, and I'm going to give maybe another minute or so. It's a guidance document for the Faith, Mental Health, and Substance Abuse Online Toolkit. And it's really just a couple of questions, answers, FAQs. And we're going to talk about that first, and then we're going to actually look at the toolkit and go over some aspects of it. If anybody needs any help, at least here, let me know, or if online, we could try to support. I got you. Hold the control button. There you go. Yeah, you should be able to control.
And while you're waiting, I just want to say that I see that my friend and brother Ryan Stringfield just joined the call. Welcome, Ryan.
Hey, Ryan.
Hey, y'all.
All right. All right. Does everybody have the toolkit up? Okay, so I'm going to, if you are on that, can you click on that link on the slide? The bit.ly link. Okay, so I'm going to try to help navigate it if you're using your phone or if you're using a website. That might be a little bit challenging. And share whatever it pulls up. Okay. So if you have it up already, you'll see this document. Yes. So some people, it might look a little bit different. If you look at that percentage number and you click on it, you can click on something that says page width. That should make it bigger, closer. Then there is a little symbol that has on the right side. Do you see that symbol? On the right side, it says text panel on the right side of the screen. If you click on that, it'll like full screen it a little bit, just so you can look at the document a little bit easier. You see it? It looks like a little page. It's not there. All right. But you can see it on this fine. So I would say it should be okay if we just go without that little part. So let's scroll down. It should just be a simple, hold on. Yeah. Yeah, full screen it. Now there should be a little pardon. You can close that. Right, so you see this right here. It's purplish. It's a little purplish looking thing. If you click on it, gotcha. Slide down a little bit, and to your right, slide down a little bit, and there, click right there. Click it. And so it closes that extra box that might be preventing your visual if you're on a phone or if you're on a computer, and it just makes the document look a little bit clearer so you can know what we're focusing on. Now we're going to scroll down and we're just going to read through some simple stuff, and then we're going to look at the toolkit. So if you move down to the table of contents, it's very small, simple. It has navigating the toolkit, a user guide, how do I access my faith toolkit, some frequently asked questions, how can the toolkit benefit me, and how to add resources and information. So keep scrolling down to number 1. It just gives us a definition of the toolkit, right? It was created to provide information on mental health and substance misuse issues. I know we kind of talked about that already. The content is meant to educate our audience with definitions, signs, symptoms, strategies, resources, and most importantly, some action items. So generally, we can find out information, but we don't know what to do with that information. And the toolkit is giving a lot of information, but hopefully some action items and places you can go, numbers you can call to hopefully further your understanding. Keep scrolling down. Padlet. So the section that says, what is Padlet? Padlet is the actual site that we use to house the online toolkit. It's an educational tool and a platform that we were able to populate with text, videos, images, audio, and other links. And it is a versatile tool that you don't need to have an account with. You don't need to log in. You don't need to save your password, which you'll forget in 6 months, like me. You can download, you can share, and it allows people to freely come in and out of this information, because this information, we want it to be open and available to everyone. We don't want it to be behind some type of, you forgot your password, which causes more stress while you're stressed. That really doesn't help. Especially if there's moments in crisis, right? You don't need another thing to stress you out. As soon as I see that incorrect password or something, yeah, it's over. So if you continue to scroll down, you'll see on page 3, 8 sections within the Padlet. So there are mental health basics, there's support strategies and crisis management, mental health and faith, substance misuse essentials, support strategies and crisis information, resources. There are mental health counselors and therapists. Then there's another resource section for mental health organizations. And then there's some learning modules in the bottom. So if you wanted to learn about a really specific topic, like, okay, I'm interested in depression specifically, there is vetted information that was researched and resourced, as well as reviewed, peer reviewed, So it is accurate and up to date. How do you access it? So these links give you access to all 3 of the online toolkits. So if you are interested in sharing the Jewish community toolkit with some of your Jewish friends or your Muslim friends, the Muslim toolkit, you have access to all 3 and you can share it with whoever needs the information or who may be interested in the information. And from there, I think we can kind of go into the toolkit. So the first thing you would want to do is there should be an X button to your left. And if you click on that X button, it literally just opens up the first page of the toolkit. Well, the front of the toolkit. Do you see that X button? You may not see it. If you're on it, yeah. It's on the top left, maybe, and it just opens up the toolkit itself. You got it? You got it? All right. So now you should see at the top in blue, Georgia Christian Community Online Toolkit for Understanding Mental Health and Related Resources. And on the right-hand side, it says sign up. They always want you to sign up, but you don't need to. You see some buttons, right? It's the top button says show, change, guest menu. The next one under it is open share panel. I want y'all to click on that real quickly. The arrow, it looks like an arrow. And this opens up a little panel. It says share, links, export, advance. What you really want to know is like export as image, export to PDF, download all files. You can print certain sections. If you go to links, it'll just copy link to board. So if you're on your phone, you can copy it and text it, email it, and things like that. So it's very easy to share. Exporting is just, if you wanted to download, you wanted to do some things. So it's very easy to use. It takes a little bit of moving around, a little bit of, let me click a button here. I'm not going to break it if I touch something. Right. All right. But now if you X out of that, you can go down and you can see remake the Padlet. Well, you may not have that. I think I have that. And then there is a play button. It looks like a play button. Do they have play buttons now anymore? I'm of a certain age too. I remember things. And you can turn it into like a slideshow, the whole toolkit. I'm not going to advise to do that right now because we're going to go through some things. So now we talked about those 8 sections, and these 8 sections are reflected on this screen. So if you scroll to the right, you'll see table of contents, right? But now you can scroll to your right and the Padlet keeps going, right? Each of these are the 8 sections and they have links under them. So if you go to mental health basics, you'll see defining mental health, signs of mental health, causes and risk factors, mental health data, mental health demographics, how to improve mental health. So these sections, if you scroll down, are represented. So you can skip to a certain area or you can scroll through it at your leisure and look around and see what you find, right? If it makes sense, all right. I hope the people online are still following along. They haven't blocked me yet. But if you look, defining mental health, there's an image. You can click on that image. You can also see like a preview of the definition of how World Health Organization defines mental health. And you can go deeper. So if you click on any of these, you'll get more information. It'll take you to a website. It might take you to a video. It might play audio. There might be an image there that you can look further at. You can download the image. You can save the image. So it's really just an all-around resource that you can use for yourself, your congregants, people you may know, people who may be curious or struggling. You may just say, hey, you want to check some of this out together? Or you send it to them and say, look at this. And if you have any questions, let me know. Yeah. So when you keep going down, you start to see more things, support strategies and crisis management. So if you're looking for tools, resources, or strategies, you might find some there that can be really helpful. And they're from other organizations. So you might see a PDF, but you might see YouTube, you might see NIH, so these are all organizations. You might see some things from NAMI, thank you, Dawn. I was trying to remember. You might see some things from NAMI, very well-known organizations that we all trust because they have our best interests at heart when it comes to this topic. If you keep scrolling, you see mental health and Christian faith. This is specific to members of the Christian faith. Now, ultimate guide to understanding Christianity and mental health. I don't know if it is the ultimate guide, but that was the title, right? Like we curious enough, right? You keep going down, it goes over substance misuse, and it talks about, if you keep looking to your right, under substance misuse, you see prescription pain pills, opioid use, you see alcoholism, you see holistic wellness practices. So it covers these subjects in a specific but also a broad way. So if you wanted to just explore some of the stuff, causes and risk factors from the Mayo Clinic, right? You want this information to be vetted and valuable. Yes.
Oh, that's okay. Or any questions so far technically?
Yeah, no problem. And just wanted to scroll down a little bit more. You'll see support strategies and crisis intervention. If you keep scrolling, you'll see resources, mental health counselors and therapists. These are actually specific areas. So where we did the summits, you will see like Alpharetta and Johns Creek mental health resources. So if you're in that area, you may want to click on that list and see who's there. If you know someone who is in that area doing things, you may want to submit that and add that to the online toolkit. Yeah. On that same document. Yeah, please. Oh, yeah.
Oh, I was just asking from a business, development standpoint, is like, how do we get added to that list, or just providing ourselves as a resource?
Okay, so on that same first outline document, there's a literal link on the guidance document. If you scroll down, that says, how do I add resources, right? How to add resources and information. It is the last page on that demo document.
So that was the document that was open.
The first document, right? You can scroll all the way down to the bottom and to the right, sir. All right, you see it? And scroll to your right. Guidance document. So if you scroll there, you can access that document anytime you want. Click on it. It should pull it up. Now, if you scroll to the bottom of this document, you'll see how to add resources and information with a question mark. And click on it. And it pulls up a Google Doc.
Say real quickly that we did ask everyone if you were coming today to bring your tablet or desktop or laptop because it's easier than a phone. The next time we get funded, I think we're going to do an app that's a lot easier to scroll on your phone. Okay. But for now, we just wanted to at least give you a feel for how to access it.
Yeah. And this has been maybe 10, 15 minutes. So it isn't the easiest to navigate in 10 minutes, but after about 20 minutes, you'll be like, okay, I get it. It's pretty simple. So that document, you can fill out the information. So you could add yourself as a resource or any other resource. You can add links and upload things. And then you hit submit and it goes to information@fayettefactor.org. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, if we get a lot of emails. But we also we encourage you to submit resources and share this document with other people and share this link, share the site, and share the information because it can only help. Imagine scrolling through this as opposed to another social media. Maybe some benefits to it. How does everybody feel currently with it? I know it's a lot. We went through it kind of quickly, but access right now. Now you know what it is. You know where it is. You can save this, bookmark this on your laptop or your phone. If you are on a laptop and you go to like your browser, you see a little star to the right. You can click on that star and it'll bookmark this so you can kind of access it a lot easier when you open your browser. Yes.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's just all the resources in one spot. I mean, even on a mobile, like, it's not a mobile app, it's still accessible on the mobile phone, you know, and I think just having all those in one spot, literally at the click of a button, like, that's a resource to be reckoned with. So, yeah, thank you.
Thank you. And I think there's one other thing I wanted to add, and sorry, I know I have you jumping around too, Brandon. If you scroll all the way back up, there is also a search function. The little, magnifying glass, you click on it, you can search the post. So you might search for something super specific. And if there is some information related to it there, you'll find it. You have a question? Let's look up, okay, because I was gonna say, am I spelling it correctly? You put me on the. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And I won a couple spelling bees and still. So if you scroll anxiety, you see it literally focuses on that one resource, right? That really talks about anxiety. All right, close that down because we have an activity after this that can't be giving out all the secrets. All right. Thank you, Dawn. So no, just back out of that search. If you click on Anthem of Hope, it will talk about anxiety. So anxiety is mentioned in the post, if that makes sense. So it'll bring you to the resource that discusses it. Sure. Yeah. But I think we should go into some questions because then after this, we're going to do like a little mini scavenger hunt to see if people can like navigate and find some things. So yeah, just for a little bit of fun. Yeah.
So I'm just curious as to like, when you guys are developing this, like who was involved in the layout, the organization, who wrote the articles, who wrote where does all the information come from? And then when it comes to like updating, how often do you update it? I mean, I know our information in this field typically is like an annual thing as far as statistics and stuff like that, but how often do you update it? And then, with people fill out that form, do you have anybody who's vetting them? Like, is this a credible resource, or is this somebody that we want to put our name behind? You know what I'm saying? Just some thoughts that came up. I know it's like a 5 questions.
First question.
Padlet is a platform, and we had a technical specialist who actually researched all the information, and then we had a mental health, Dr. Susan Mayer, who actually went through all the stuff to make sure it was okay. We had to pay her a fee to go through all of it. And then, I think your other question is, well, we are, and the problem, and I'm just tell you what the issue is, because we don't have funding for it. It's a slow process, and right now our technical person is doing it for free, and so it's on her own time to be able to go and look at it and see, okay, and then that's when she will upload the information.
They specifically have this content. Padlet has this content.
I physically did some of the research myself, looking up definitions on the credible websites. That's why you see a lot of the links under some of the posts.
What would you want to include?
Right. Yeah. And we also sat with our state liaison, community liaisons for each faith, and we had them go through, review, give feedback. They submitted information that they thought was relevant to their faith and things like that. Yeah. Yes, very cool.
Padlet, by the way, is really it's an educational tool. It's really in school systems. It's software used by teachers. And the reason why is because it's a real easy layman's way to build a website that's kind of crowdsourced. So teachers can either post themselves or have their students post to this. So we wanted to have a platform that was really easy to use.
And I'll say that you guys had obviously offered this during the summit. Was it last year? Earlier this year? Oh my gosh. A lot happens in a year. Yeah. But I was able to go in and just download, you know, and then you've got it on, you know, accessible. That was easy for me to do. And I felt like that was really helpful to have that feature.
That is the goal, is to make sure that it's accessible however you want it for whoever wants it, you know, and if you download it, it's even easier to share, right? You know, so I'm sorry. Yes, so if you you're on the homepage, if you scroll down to the bottom and go back to that guidance document, most questions will be answered in that guidance document. So if you do have a question, yeah, the original link was straight to that guidance document, because if you have a general question, it should be answered there. And then if you scroll all the way down to that document, the last part says how to add resources and information. It is a Google Doc that you click on, and it literally opens up the Google Doc in the next window. Did that answer your question? To help, that Google Doc, there are some questions that we need to be answered, such as, is this an online resource, in-person organization, or service provider? We want to know so we can understand what the resource is, what you're sharing with us, you know, which faith community would it best serve? You might find something that'd be really helpful for the Jewish community, but you may not be of that faith. Still worth sharing and submitting resources. You know, if there's a relevant contact person, if the service provider accepts insurance, like, this is information that will be really helpful for people to know. So if you are submitting something, we want it to be, you know, something that, like, we say, okay, this sounds really strong. We can vet it and we can then add it. Mm-hmm.
And it's nice to have more providers. And one of the resources that we want to continue to develop are people who are providers that we, you know, so when people look for, okay, I live in this part of the state, you know, who can I go to?
Yeah, access was one of the biggest issues I think that we came up with when we were doing focus groups and getting feedback, just access to resources. I think Georgia was last or second to last in mental health resources and access when we did the research. And yeah, and having available resources, if you live in Atlanta, but you're looking at things in Savannah, that may not be as helpful. So we wanted to make sure that we could find in those different areas we were doing summits, we were able to find providers and resources that really might help people locally. 39.9%. That is a low number. All right. So how do people feel? Are you ready to try this short little scavenger hunt we have? All right. So you can use your phone, use your documents. All right. You might have to bring back up the slides so we can. I know it's a little bit tricky. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you all ready? How's everybody feeling? I'd love to start when everybody's ready, because if somebody's already good to go, it would, you know, want to give everybody a second to feel like they got this. You go online, you got this. Thumbs up. Or we gonna just start it? We might have to take the names down of who gets the most right. Get names. All right, so you're ready. 3, 2, 1. Send or share the online toolkit to 3 people not in this room. So whoever can share to 3. Nope, you got to do it now. He said he already did it. Send it again. That's what I would do. That's what I would do. But I mean, if you did that, just show proof. I think it's a great idea. We want it to be shared with as many people as possible. Yeah, yeah. Okay. So Dawn is taking down names of who can get it done, and we're gonna send prizes. So, or we're gonna give prizes. Okay, we'll give prizes to the people that are here. All right. Now I should walk around, right? Show me proof. Because I'll win all the prizes. I'll be like, I did this last week. I had to wait, make sure it worked. Up. Ooh, say that. Say it.
I sent it to the mental health team at my church, and it's 3 of them on the team.
I see all 3. All right, so we have a winner for the first scavenger hunt question. All right, clap it up. Well, hold. Clap it up. Real quick. All right. Quick clap, like 4 seconds. Then we got to get to the next one. Okay, is everybody ready for the next question? 3, 2, 1, go. How many bold lettered sections are there in the table of contents? Show. In the table of contents, show them. Can you show me? $15.
I put it in the chat.
No. Table of contents.
15.
One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are 7.
What?
Everybody found the 7 though?
I thought 15.
15 in the table of contents?
Yeah. Are you
Where-
on the introduction to mental health and mental health literacy? Table of contents?
Yeah, this is where we are. This is table of contents here. And then, so. So if you go to table of contents, the section, table of contents, bold lettered sections. So the bold letters, basically the headings. He would have to. Can you share it on the screen? In the actual table of contents of the document. Yes. Now you scroll to the right, and how many you count? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's under the table of contents section. It's under the table of contents. There are bold lettered sections under it. So boxes, you might say rectangles, but they're posts under that. Got it. I think a few people got it over here. Few people said 7. It was 7. All right. Nice. All right. Are you ready for the next one? Next slide. Yeah, it'll be the next slide. 3, 2, 1. In the article, why don't Christians talk about mental health struggles? What is a simplistic answer to why most Christians don't engage in those facing mental health struggles? This is related to that stigma and that shame.
Why Christians should talk about trauma. Oh, she knows. Dr. Colson has a book on 10 reasons why Christians, is it why Christians or why the church should talk about trauma? Great book. And she does an even better presentation.
Yeah, 10 reasons why Christians need to be talking about trauma.
Need to be.
Yeah. I have the answer.
Yeah. Where is it in bookstores or Amazon?
Yes.
Your books, where can one order them?
On Amazon,
Okay.
Amazon.com, Denise Colson, DENICE, Denise Colson, PhD. I can send you a link. I can put a link in the chat, I guess.
Yeah, that'll work.
So the answer,
Wait, she got it? What's the answer?
yeah, I got it too.
I got the answer, yeah. People of faith should never struggle, but that's not true.
My answer is some Christians and churches say mental health struggles are caused by lack of faith, prayer, and devotional practices, or simply rebellious sin.
Yeah, she got
You
it.
got
I'm
it.
just saying, she got it
Tam-
too.
Tammy.
Both have it. Dr. Colson.
Okay, Tammy.
Right after it, it says this implies that people of faith should never struggle, but that's not true. So it's that whole.
Okay, we got two. Got both of their names.
Nice. Congratulations. So if you look at the table of contents, now I'm giving you out a cheat code back in that same area. So there's two ways to find it. You could scroll through the actual homepage, but also in the table of contents, if you look on the third section, mental health and Christian faith, and you look down, the third bullet point, why Christians don't talk about mental health struggles, you click on it and it pulls that actual article up. And if you open the article, you'll find a section that literally says simplistic answers. And that's why they found it so quick. Because maybe you just knew where it was. It should have an open button right there. And it pulls the article. This is important because there's going to be really specific topics that you want to talk about. This article actually gives you some of the reasons why the faith communities and faith communities in general may struggle with talking about mental health. And this is a conversation that is happening in a lot of faith-based spaces. So this article can help a faith or a lay leader who's interested in maybe having that conversation, but doesn't have all the language, may not have all the information, but read the article and you feel a little more comfortable and confident saying, hey, this is what I read. I can also share the article with you and then we can talk about it. There are sarcastic answers. So it's also fun, but it's real information. And some of us may have heard these sarcastic answers before either.
Thinking we as Christians really have the answer because we have the Prince of Peace, but yet if we have a stigma about it and judge people for it, then we're the ones that's hindering their freedom. So that's why our motto at Legacy Counseling Services is shattering the stigma.
Thank you very much for sharing that. How's everybody feeling? Y'all feel a little bit more confident with the toolkit? Y'all ready? I think we got maybe one or two more. You ready for the next slide? Oh, we might have more than that, but we don't have to go through all of these. Yeah, we just want you to feel comfortable with them. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1, next slide. In the video, How to End Mental Illness, what is step 1, as stated by Dr. Daniel Amen? You gonna take a guess? Talk about it. I like that. The good thing is, if you're able to find an article, you're able to pull up a video, you're able to pull up a full document you can download. This is just showing you some of the features of Padlet as well as the online toolkit. Oh. We might have to look. The search engine may not be as it's not an AI search engine. It's not scouring everything. In the video, How to End Mental Illness. Even if you don't use the search, there may be another way to find it. There are 3 general ways you can find. If the search doesn't work, you can look at the table of contents. You can also scroll through the front page. The front page has access to everything on the toolkit. Okay. Yeah, I'm pulling it up. Is it gonna pull up? Yeah, it says they pulled it up, but I couldn't. Yeah, it's a video. It's brain. Click on it. He says stop calling it mental health, but he wants it to be called brain health problems. Brain health, Dr. Regina. Dr. Regina got it first. She learned. She said I saved it to my home screen. Now I got it. Hold on. Say that again. You said again, and this is what she said.
I have the Padlet on my home screen.
So now she
Just opens up.
So she knows how to open everything up now. So she I'm glad you learned. So he said to stop calling it mental health and call it what it really is, brain health problem. And that is an interesting perspective because it explores the idea of understanding brain health and functionality, just the same way someone might talk about vaping and how it might affect your lung health. So now it's a part of the body that we can physically define, physically explore, and make sense of, as opposed to mental, which may be a little bit more. Yeah. So now we're treating it like we would treat maybe a broken bone, maybe not, but maybe somebody who smoking or drinking. Right.
Brain.
There you go. Can you say
Okay,
that
I
again?
just said people go to a cardiologist when they have heart issues and they need to go to a professional mental health counselor or psychologist or psychiatrist to help their brain.
And then in times of deep stress, maybe depression, it may not be something as scary because we can look at it as like, something as simple as the cardiologist. Or I'm having trouble with my breathing. I just want to go get checked out. Right. So it becomes less stigmatized because of the language and how we're perceiving this problem. And I think that may be important to explore. I can't tell anybody what the right or wrong answer is, but tweaking our perspective could have huge implications on how it's treated and how we can talk about it. You know, like if I jam my finger, I'm like, I jam my finger, and I might need to go get it, get it looked at. It still hasn't healed properly. You know, the conversation becomes so different. Like nobody sees a problem with that. Unless you have a coach and they don't want to put you in the game, and then you're like, you don't want to tell them. But so how do people feel? I think we're towards we're gonna stop on the scavenger hunt. Just want to check in with people. How was it? How do you feel about the toolkit, the scavenger hunt, some of the tools, the information, accessing it, submitting it, things of that nature? Yeah.
So you all feel like you all can. Yeah. You feel like you can easily share it with someone, go to something. So, okay, people online, because that's what we want, is we want people to be able to use it and share it. And as they're talking, you all have different roles here as a provider, as a friend, and you can share it with with all kinds of folks. So that's our goal. And so
So
I just I clicked on Christian Community and the Wellness Workshop, and it shows the PowerPoint slides of somebody's presentation. And this says Georgia ranked last at number 51 in access to mental health care. Wow. That's why you guys are doing what you're doing. That's
Yeah, that's
I guess that's crazy.
And it's amazing too, because we have a fairly well connected, sorry, it's amazing that our numbers are like that, because we have a fairly well connected and vastly growing recovery community. But there's a lot of different parties aren't talking together. The state has done a few things. They're going to start shifting treatment, licensure, and all that kind of stuff over to DBHCD instead of being part of Department of Community Health. So that'll help. We're trying to make some reforms, as far as how that process goes. People starting to work together. Again, this is where advocacy can come in handy. If you have ideas about that, there's lots of opportunities to show up and share, because the people that make these laws, they don't know what they don't know. So if we don't show up and say, hey, this is what we're actually seeing, this is what will help the situation, then they can start to make changes. But anyway.
One of the things I can say is that there was a concerted effort during the summits to get people who make decisions, and there was some representation of lawmakers. And yeah, do you remember a few of them, Dawn?
We had the state representatives from the sort of Fayette and Fulton County actually come to our summits, and we had some mayors come, and some elected officials, so that was helpful.
And I think that's where it starts. If they see us doing work, they want to be a part of it, especially successful work. And I think that goes into advocacy as well, right? Educating them, know that the work is being done, and it's the work that the people want to see. If you see a couple hundred people across an event, you're like, well, what's going on there? Why are these people showing up to this and possibly not showing up to what they're doing? Want to thank everybody for just participating in this scavenger hunt. I know it can be a little challenging because you just kind of got this introduced to you, but it can be fun. It can help you just kind of sort it. And this toolkit was all of them were like a real labor of love from people who really see this as an important issue, see this as something that's affecting them, their community, and other communities of faith that they don't even belong to, and felt like it was necessary and needed, and put in time in their busy schedule to make something that can be as accessible and as useful to people across the state. And I'm going to pass it over to Dawn so she can talk about some dialogue.
Oh, okay. because of who's in the room, I'm going to, you know, we want people to be able to have good, healthy dialogue and prior to listening, but many of you are counselors and whatnot, so I'm going to not speak to the choir. And we can share our slide deck, you know, but one of the things that, you know, okay, okay, great. That would be great, because we don't want to go over the time, but because I could talk about open-ended questions and tell about your experience and all that, but I don't want to do that because of time, because we want to be able to talk at the end and have a question and answer. But what I do want to share is non-stigmatizing language. Okay. Yeah. Well, we're going to send you these slides, but non-stigmatizing language. This is the recommended non-stigmatizing language about alcohol and substance use communities, because and with the alternate, people say, like you have a habit, and instead of saying alcohol use disorder or unhealthy use. Thank you. Now I can read my own slide. Okay, you can't see, but we're going to send it to you because we think it's important to have the non-stigmatizing language. Okay. And we're going to just send you the whole slide deck that we're using today. Yeah, okay. Yes. Because, this is so important to us, because when people talk about, oh, they're an addict, or, because certain things there's certain connotations that come up. And so if we in the room learn to use not, because I know some folks who are in long-term recovery who still use language that are stigmatizing. And so I think it's important for all of us, if we're going to help stop the stigma, is to be able to use the kind of language and help people use the language that will help, reduce the stigma, because that was an important goal of ours in doing these health summits, was to try to help reduce stigma so that people can talk about it and feel free about talking about it, and not feeling like, when we understand that use substance use disorder, you at least know that it's a disease. And if you were treating chronic disease like high blood pressure or kidney disease, you look at that differently. And so we want to be able to change the way people see things and know that substance use is a disease. And it gives it a whole different flavor from, because people think about folks who are on a corner, and they can't, something's wrong with them versus understanding. So I'm going to just leave it at that, so that my question is, as we're concluding, we said what we wanted to do. We wanted to provide an overview of funded projects in the mental health of the Fayette summits. Did we do that? Did we equip you all as faith leaders with tools and resources and strategies to support mental health and wellness of their congregations? Did we do that? Did we demonstrate the online mental health resource toolkit? Yep. We didn't practice inclusive dialogues that reduce stigma. We just talked about it, but that was what we wanted to do, because we, wanted, and what do you?
Clean and dirty. Don't talk about people like their dishes are laundry.
Oh, go ahead. Did she put it in the?
Hey, Dr. Denise, you had a question?
I had asked earlier, could you demonstrate how to add, how to add resources again? I was hoping I could add some of my books and other resources up there.
Denise, I can send you the link on there and it'll take you straight to the
Okay.
page.
Perfect. That'd be great. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks a lot.
What happened to the funding? You said you have no more funding. What happened to the funding?
Yeah, DBHDD gives funding for X amount of time, and they gave us money to do this project in 7 months, and that 7-month period ended. Should I do this? Okay, so, even though the project ended, we're still having the conversation because we think that like I said earlier, some of you were just sort of, by the way, Patrice, you didn't get a chance to introduce yourself. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. I'm Patrice Alexander. I am a licensed professional counselor. Right now, I'm working with Rise Recovery and Behavioral Health here in Fayette County. We provide intensive outpatient, partial hospital treatment for persons with substance use and mental health disorders. So it is different. Yeah. Alexander. That's it. Any other questions? Yeah. We are spirituality based. So it's more like non-denominational. So whatever faith the person comes in, with, we honor and respect that. Like we encourage that they're consistent with the 12 steps. It's a God of their understanding. We just encourage that they're actively participating like in their faith, because a lot of them have been shamed and like won't go back to church. And so it's kind of, encouraging them to still foster that relationship with God and a higher power. And we have a sober living for men. So if they're staying in the sober living, then it is part of that program that they do have to attend church or either mosque or synagogue. Like they have to actively be growing that relationship with their higher power. It's Arise Recovery and Behavioral Health. And so we're right down the road in Peachtree City is where the clinical office is, and our sober living for men is in Fayetteville. Okay, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Patrice. So we're still having the conversation because we want to keep life breathing through this project. We know that this is a skeleton of a project that's going to grow over time, but you can help. So just using the online toolkit, once you have access to it, maybe bookmark it or favorite it so that you know how to access it on your computer. Share it. So Seth, thank you for sharing it with other members of the Georgia Faith and Recovery Collaborative, and you can too. Submit your resources. We're thrilled that Dr. Colson and Andy and others have asked, how do I get my agency or my efforts or my books on this site? That'll help us make sure that happens. Put the links and QR codes on your website. So if you feel, if it's aligned with your strategies to make resources available to your congregation or your community, you're free to put this on your website. And lastly, if you see anything missing, use the toolkit submission form to let us know, because we do want to update that, correct it, or strengthen it.